And hello,
That D space.
hello YouTube community. This is Marshall from the International Kriegspiel Society. I'm just live streaming a mini battle with myself versus Alex. Alex has put together a gorgeous module based on European Kriegspiel. This is his new European Brigade system. It is based off his American Civil War Brigade system, so it's extremely similar, but there are some rules that'll be a little different. And this,
It's
go
sorry.
ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
It's basically the same thing, except there's some chrome added to do things that didn't happen in the Civil War.
Right.
Like Civil War brigades didn't attack and didn't move in attack column. It just didn't happen.
Mm,
Civil War brigades didn't. There weren't any Civil War heavy cavalry, which means they never formed square because they didn't have to worry about cavalry. So that's been all added. Damon hasn't been briefed on that, so it probably won't be used. But that is what the intention will be as the system gets. The idea here is to have a system that we can use for regular battles. We're going to start doing them on Saturdays on the regular time when if there's nothing else happening, we're just going to run something on this module. And it doesn't have to be European, right? We could just take light cavalry and just treat them like American Civil War,
hmm
and you can just run it like American Civil
Yeah,
War. So you can just strip all the chrome out for the European and it still works. But
perfect. Yeah, so what's going to happen here is Damon is going to give us each an order of battle. It's a division apiece. I told him he can give me whatever he wants, so I don't know what he's going to give me. And he's going to set us up probably on opposite corners, and all we're going to do is just draw arrows to show our general route that we want to take, and then whenever contact occurs, we'll begin the game there. So I'm just waiting to hear from Damon what I have in my order of battle and where I'm starting, and then we will go from there.
I assume we can just do it mirrored.
Yeah, and this is just going to be a quick battle. We want to see more or less kind of how quickly we can run this and just crank something like this out. And we're thinking of running a Kriegspiel tournament that would run, kind of battles in 2 hours with just a few umpires that are there to judge, but really can be done with just one. So anytime you have three people who want to kind of whip out a quick Kriegspiel game, here we are. It can be done. This is test the concept.
Also, if anyone's seeing the map right now and you're trying to figure out where it is, it's entirely fictional, as far as I know. It was created by the Prussian General Staff. This was recolored in by Bill. Oh Lord, what was his name?
Bill Leeson.
Yeah, Bill Leeson. He colored all this in. I think it looks great. Uh, it's basically a recreation of what the Prussians used in the 19th century for training. I think this is what would have come with a set of like a Kriegspiel set that a regiment would have been given for like cadets, for like young officers. Obviously, the staff college would have just made their own maps because they can, but lower units would have had something like this. And
Okay.
well, sorry.
No, I was going to say. So the game channel for each of your names is where I'll post things.
All right.
All right. I'll just scroll to the bottom and skip out on all that stuff.
If you have two monitors, it makes life a lot easier. Double monitor game.
Right,
what I love about sorry.
Sorry, I'm just setting the table and then I'm just typing something out real fast, so you'll hear from me very shortly.
What I love about the Meckel map is it's a good blend of hilly terrain and a bit of open terrain. It's pretty hilly, but that's what they're looking for. You want commanders to recognize where to take a fight. So I think that's what they're looking for here. It's just the other map is Königsgrätz. It's huge, and it's like that, but on steroids. It's got tons of open ground, lots of forests. If we were able to try to run a Napoleonic feeling game, it'd be on Königsgrätz, because Napoleonic battles are about sweeping maneuvers. Doesn't really happen in American Civil War games, which is fine, but...
Well, we don't have a good Chancellorsville map yet, so...
Yeah,
that would be
yeah,
some
no kidding.
maneuvers right there.
Of course, Chancellorsville is. I'd almost say the sweeping Chancellorsville maneuver was more operational, but if you make the map big enough, it doesn't matter. It'd be great to have a giant map of Chancellorsville.
Yeah, that would be neat.
And of course, sorry.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. As I eat my supper here, I have to mute my mic.
Just because we're doing red versus blue doesn't mean we're abandoning American Civil War. It's a period Marshall and I love very much, like military history-wise. But we do recognize that it's not everyone's forte. Some people really do love Napoleonic Wars. I am one of those people. Fascinating. Fascinating way they fought. Don't know near much about as I do the Civil War, but that's fine.
And the European stuff is more colorful, I think.
Yeah. And that's why I was actually going to do an Austria versus France order of battle. It was going to be about the same size. L'Armée de Allegrande versus the Österreich Army. I just butchered that pronunciation. Both of them. And it was going to feature famous names in all the corps counters. So, you'd have Napoleon and Lannes and all that crap. All those guys. I think Davout. And then I was writing the Austria one, and I'm sitting here thinking, people are going to be mad that the French order of battle isn't better. I feel like you play a Napoleonic game, you kind of expect France to be very powerful.
That's a lot of games, like Nap Wars and stuff. The French are, off the chart good, but usually they're just outnumbered. They do something to balance it. Like France has a lot of enemies, but when Napoleon's moving with their stack of troops, they can just, cream whoever they run into. But I don't know if that's necessarily historic. And what we want to do with Kriegspiel is just get people to work on the fundamentals and just be good at fighting battles. Everybody wants to be Napoleon, but nobody wants to start from the brigade and work their way up. And that's what Napoleon did. He started at the bottom and worked his way up. Artillery officer.
And also, as an aside, I chose the red side because I actually really love the red color scheme. That the red and it's Christmas. That's what I call it. But it's a fun color scheme.
Then as the blue, because I represent the French, I should have mostly elite troops.
I was waiting for that. Another addition that this features, for anyone familiar with, if anyone's been keeping up with the quality system we've kind of developed, is there's a guard. There are now guards added, because what kind of Napoleonic game doesn't have guard infantry? For both sides, of course. And they are just better. They are the closest we have ever gotten to Space Marines in this server, I think. And I'm kind of okay with that. Because they're guards, they should be pretty powerful and able to do some real damage.
Alright, I got my order of battle. I'm going to throw it up on the screen so everyone can see it. And it's right down here at the bottom. And I don't know if people can read that. But it is here on the screen. And I'll flash the picture, and then I'm going to arrange my pieces more or less in this manner. And that's where we're starting. Alright, I'm going to go back to the map. Wow, all elite units. Man, you are in trouble, Alex.
That's another fun thing we can start doing now with this, is people have the freedom to create unbalanced order of battles. For example, you could say, you have one side that has mostly elite units in, guard, and then the other side has more blocks, but they're lower quality. That's perfectly fine.
Alright, here we are.
Is there going to be supply train traveling with us, Damon?
I will answer that in your channel. Yeah, hold
on. I love the folks might read this better. I love this. I love this scenario. That's great.
I agree.
All right, that's it. All right, now how to handle this one. So I can't quite read what's what, but let's see here.
Are you having trouble reading the map? Or are you having trouble reading the units?
I'm having trouble reading the units in the picture.
Damon, you might try sending him a picture of some of them flipped over. The infantry are a little hard to read on the back.
Okay.
And all, oh, okay. I see how you have them set up. All right. Ultimately, it doesn't matter that much what the pieces say on my map. All that really matters is the umpire map.
Very true, as long as you have the right qualities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go. And we're going to put them right there. And then, okay, so there's 3 of those. All right, we're going to put these guys.
Yeah. So just send me like your initial. It can be a wide shot or whatever, just with your intended route of march, and then I'll just move things along until contact.
Sure, no problem. Here we are. Okay. All right, that I can read just a little better.
Yeah, a couple of the towns are a little difficult to read, I will admit.
All right. I got it, man. I got it. There. And then I've got
I'm gonna run to the fridge real quick.
fair enough. I have one of these guys. I'm just going to set him there for now. And I've got 2 of these guys. Here we go. Crazy. I have elite artillery batteries that fire indirectly. They are, what is it, 205 millimeter howitzers or 250? I don't know. Whatever that is. Basically World War II artillery. You're going to be really punished. Yes, I'm not that good at the BS, am I? Let's see. Alright, so they're there. And this dude is here. And that's close enough. That's my picture. And then I do need my little commander avatar. A little token that says who I am. And here we go. And there I am in town. Okay, let's check my work against this picture. Oh, I'm missing 2 more of these guys. And 1 more of that. So, okay, so let's get him out. And these 2 guys are. I think it's these 2.
Here, I'll try to. Here, I'm gonna.
I've got it, Damon. You don't have to do anything.
Okay. I was just gonna tell you the unit numbers, just so you can.
No, I got him. I don't want
Okay.
Alex to know what I have.
I was gonna type them. I was gonna tell you.
I don't want Alex to know that I have all elite units, that you love me more than him and gave me the best pieces on the planet. Man, I can't believe it. These guys throw D2, man. It's 50-50 odds. Alright, I'm full of it. But anyway, here we go. And those are like that. And this guy is like that.
Hold on, the wife is hollering. Give me a sec.
Okay. Now I have to decide how I'm going to get there. So, I have to start drawing lines. Okay. This pin is a little wonky. Oh, that's awful. Huh. You know what? Let's do this. No, let's not do that. Let's do it this way. Alright, I'm going to erase that line because it's pretty wonky. Alright, here we go. Wonder if I can do it like this. No, I just don't. I don't know. There we go. Is that what I want? No. I don't know how to erase this line in space. Huh.
What are you trying to do?
It's drawing my lines in space. Like up in the air.
Oh, you need to change the camera position.
To like P or?
It's because you're on the edge of the world. No, like you literally just need to rotate the camera, hold right click, and try to find the right place.
Okay.
Also, ignore the movement pieces below the board. I need to reposition those, but basically, there's a. What I did was I took some piece tokens that have states, and then I sent those tokens below the board, so that when you're so that because tokens load faster, there's already a copy of the same token that exists somewhere on the board. I found. I can't believe it. I just wrote out an 1820 like a. I'm trying to remember what they're called. Operational orders.
Okay.
It was always fun. It's funny because people don't do that in the server. It's just it was fun. There's a word for it. Let me check.
All right. Well, those are my orders.
All right. Give me a second here.
Okay, I'll go over it with you. Uh, C for Cav. I for Infantry. A for Artillery.
Yeah, I just noticed I was drawing lines and I pan the camera and all of a sudden it's like, wait, that's a vertical line. How did that happen? It's like floating in space.
Yeah. And I just, for the life of me, I can't erase this one stray mark, and I don't want to confuse you. There it is. It got erased. Okay. So, if you want to, I can send you a screenshot, or I can just share my screen, Damon.
Screenshots probably better.
Okay. Let's do a screen. If it wants to work, that doesn't like working. There we go. That works. And now I will upload it to you. All right, here we go. All right, that's sent to you, and let me know if it's not intelligible.
Okay. Oh my god.
Oh no.
All right.
It's just one brigade
All right.
each.
Nice.
This is what happens
Okay.
when you put two blowhards in the same game.
Okay, so now I have to just mentally calculate where all of this is going simultaneously and what runs into what when.
Well, what can help is you can just draw lines on the Empire map and then delete them when they're done. When you're done moving everything, whenever something make contact.
Yeah, so let's see here.
And you can just count squares.
Right, it's just a matter of having to calculate who runs into what where in case
Yeah.
things, you know. Okay, so it looks like, okay, that makes sense. I'm also not as experienced at the roughing as you guys, so it just takes a second. Yeah, let's orient it that way.
As a reminder of the Napoleonic Rules, the changes are: when infantry go into square, they deny cavalry the ability to throw green dice, and then when they attack in assault columns, they throw double green dice, but their opponents throw double colored dice, which means a unit that has been disrupted will probably not be able to do much against an assault column as compared to a unit that a well-disciplined or an undisrupted unit, which is the intention.
Yeah, that's how you're supposed to use an assault column.
Right, so if your opponent's been softened up by artillery or anything else, the assault column will probably blow them to shreds because you're going to be throwing more disruption dice. The issue I'm having with the square rule is that I don't know if that's effective enough because some cavalry, like and with an extreme quality difference, a regular brigade being assaulted by a elite heavy cavalry brigade in square still has a decent chance of being broken. But that's something I'll have to tinker with.
Yeah, we'll have to play test it. I guess I can erase all my lines now.
Probably.
Screenshot is sent.
Although you could keep them if you want a mental idea of what they're supposed to be.
I've got a picture of it right next to me, so I will pre-position my stuff and see what happens.
So Damon, where does my striker brigade enter on map again?
Sorry, what?
My striker brigade.
They're coming. They're on the way.
Give me rain or give me blue check.
You'll have to wait a few hundred years, but they're on their way.
Speaking of, this is something I've been theorizing, is I think we could take the base idea of the system and put it in just about any era as long as the blocks are tweaked correctly. So for example, I think you could make a game where the maneuver elements are companies and their component blocks are like platoons, quotes, and you order companies around and they just spread themselves out and they throw dice at each other. And I think the same concept would still work for World War II.
Okay, so just a quick refresher. How far do units travel per?
Infantry go 4, heavy cavalry go 5, light cavalry go 6.
Okay.
And then of course, cavalry will slow itself down to march with infantry. It'll go 6 if it's ordered out itself, or stuff like that. Then double quick is 6 for infantry, and then that'll be 8 for cav, and I think the gallop is 9.
All right, things are moving. Things are moving.
No worries, and I will be right back.
One thing you can do is, which I've done a ton in this kind of situation, is if you have a long column of units, you don't bother with all of them. You only bother with the front one because that's the one that matters.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Just I'll figure the rest will catch up.
It was called an operation order. I feel like that's what I wrote out. It's an operation order. There we go, and I'm turning off the screen now. I wanted to pop out the YouTube chat real quick just in case.
Nothing much happening on the YouTube, but over
You never
time,
know.
people will watch the recording. So
Yeah. What I'm hoping is, one day, far in the future, Kriegspiel will be one of the hallmarks of the wargaming hobby. And I think with what we're doing here, it's a lot more accessible uh, with the tabletop simulator, and hopefully soon Vassal modules.
yeah, and it should be because it's the granddaddy of all the modern war games.
Yeah, and what I love about Kriegspiel is it's like I'm playing with miniatures, except they're not. I don't have to deal with miniatures. And
Right.
I have nothing against miniature wargaming, but I don't like painting them.
You mean dolls? Play with dolls.
Yeah,
sir.
I don't like playing with dolls. I play with counters. Thank you very much.
So right now, Damon is playing out probably an hour or two worth of gameplay, all in a few minutes, which is what's taking so long. That's the delay. But the action will begin very soon.
I've got the song stuck in my head from when Napoleon commits the guard at Waterloo. It's the music major curse. And that's the effect I want with the guard unit blocks, which I'm hoping players will do. Because, and there's no set consistency I haven't figured out for breaking and routing, like specifically the effects, but the effects will probably be a routed unit will just keep on running for. In this scale battle, they're out of the fight. This is what I think. But in a larger scale battle, they might be able to return after 3 hours. But that's so much time. And a broken unit just retreats towards a supply wagon. And I like that system of them retreating towards supply wagons because it's what's the best way to put this? It lets players kind of set their own rally point, and I think players seem to like that. Obviously, if you set it too close to the front, it not only creates issues with your train can get captured, but also it's going to create frontage issues because you have broken units sitting there recovering right at the battle line. That's not fun. That's not a good thing. The other thing is, and this is something no one on the server has developed, which is very difficult, is there is a feeling to these kind of games where you kind of just have to feel when to do something drastic, like order cavalry charge, which is what I'm hoping the Napoleonic era system will kind of accomplish. Because there's some things in here that I don't think perfectly reflect the period, which is it's just trade-offs. But what matters is that you feel like you're a commander in the period. And there's a time when you're a commander, especially if you're doing a larger battle, you have a guard brigade. When do I commit the guard? When do I make that push? Because they're going to be very powerful and very swift.
Well, that's basically every decision I make is when to commit the guard because all my units are guard units. Damon is very nice to me.
And one thing I might do in the future, which is not present in this module, is create a difference between foot artillery, but I don't want to get into that nitty-gritty yet. Right now, it's just artillery is artillery, but in the Napoleonic War, in the American Civil War, it did matter, rifled versus smoothbore, but at the scale the players are playing at, they will overthink it. I don't want people overthinking it here either, which would be 6-pounders versus 12-pounders, mostly.
Okay, stand by. Things are still happening.
It doesn't bother us. I'm a windbag. I can keep talking. What I've been trying to think of is fake country names for the red and blue armies. I know in the past when I did 1824 games, I used the Red Republic and the Blue Confederation, or the Confederation of the Blue, or something like that. That's really lame.
Want to say hello to our viewers. We've got a couple on, and if you have any questions or commentary, feel free to speak up or just say hello so we know you're there. Always
We can
appreciate
take a compliment.
That's right. Be brutally honest. We can take a compliment. And I'll be right back.
Our umpire, Damon, here, is the person who created the outline of these pieces. Well, most of them. I technically created the heavy cavalry one, but all I did was I copied the line, pasted it, and it moved it down. So I don't know how much credit I could take for that. Which is probably my favorite piece in the module, the heavy cavalry pieces, actually. I based them. I got the idea from in von Reiswitz's Kriegsspiel. Cuirassiers are denoted by a double white stripe, and then in the middle of the it's a double stripe, two stripes, and then in the middle there's like a white stripe and the secondary color stripe. So green for red. I think it's either sky blue or cadet gray. I used for the blue secondary. I don't remember anymore. In the original Kriegsspiel, they actually don't really. All they say is that Cuirassiers are heavier than Uhlans. Uhlans are heavier than Dragoons. Dragoons are heavier than Hussars. Which I guess is fine. But ultimately, it doesn't end up mattering that much. I think what matters is if you have shot cavalry and scout cavalry, which is why I took out Dragoons and Uhlans. Or you could just assume maybe that some heavy cavalry Uhlans and some light cavalry Dragoons. The other reason I dumped Dragoons is because I didn't really want to have to come up with rules for dismounting, because they're already in the American Civil War game, but then you have to deal with how do you know if a block is dismounted or not, because the cavalry blocks, in this system, the cavalry blocks, when they're flipped over, just means they're not deployed. You know, they don't have, it's not like they can shoot, they don't dismount. Even though they did sometimes in real life, but it was rare, you know, that wasn't their role. And if I am boring you to death, Damon, just let me know.
No, it's all good.
All
Not really listening since I'm
okay, good.
all this crap.
Determining Star Trek First Contact, TM.
Well, I am back, and I am standing by.
Speaking of Star Trek First Contact, I think it's an overrated movie.
What?
Now, here's what I mean. A lot of people say that First Contact is the second best Star Trek movie. I think that's wrong. I think the second best Star Trek movie is Undiscovered Country. Of course, everyone knows Wrath of Khan is the best one.
Right.
Throw hands. I would throw hands at people who deny
6
that.
is great, but
Alex,
you know.
Here's the
we
thing.
have a question.
Sorry.
We have a question.
Yes, sir.
We'll get back to the very important Star Trek discussion, but Pot-Bellied Slim asks, being color deficient, it's hard for me to differentiate units, but I still love the concept of the game despite my confusion. Can you explain the map?
Well, the map itself is a recreation based on images, like old images in the British archives, of the map the Prussian army would have used for actual training in Kriegsfield. It's a completely fake map.
Yeah, I'm just going to interrupt you real quick. Marshall, there's something for you if you would like to pop into your channel real quick.
Thank you. I see it.
All right.
Also, if you're ever wondering courier speed is whatever speed light cavalry can do at their fastest. Usually it's double that.
Okay.
Couriers can book it in Kriegsfield. Usually they can just go at gallop speed the entire time. That usually doesn't matter though in 20-minute turns.
Stand by.
All right.
As for the brightness of the map, the guy who colored in this map chose to do a lot of green because it's grassy, and he used darker colors for inclines mostly. That's probably my biggest complaint with this map is how it's colored, because it was colored in by hand. And, if we took the time, we could probably remake it. We could probably recolor it digitally and look a lot better, but we just haven't gotten around to that. I can't do that. That's not my forte. Damon might be able to do it if he ever bothered, if he wanted to.
If I do what now?
Recolor this map.
Oh no.
I'm sure I can make some. I'm sure there's someone in the Discord who'd be willing to do it. It's a great little map. Königsgard map, though, I don't want to get recolored. I think that one looks great. I mean, it looks like it honestly looks like a battlefield.
That's the wrong formation I have out there. There we are. Now I have to decide what I want to do about this.
Popular Slim, if you're talking about the little squares, those are used by the umpire and by the players too for measuring distance. Everything's measured in squares. Technically, everything's measured in paces, but to simplify things, we just say it in squares because each square is 400 by 400 paces. And pretty much everything is divisible by 400, and I did that intentionally so that you can just say, instead of infantry traveling 1,600 paces per 20-minute turn, if the forest being strategically important depends on the scenario. I have no comment. I don't know if they're strategically important yet. There's also some extra lines you might spot, which are this map, as it's originally made, is not actually made as one continuous map. It's several squares, and if Marshall's showing, he might zoom in on one of the squares. You will notice a letter with a Roman numeral. It goes from A to F, I think, and then 1 through 4. So, C3 is the city of Kippingen, I believe.
Okay.
I think those are. I think those are supposed to be. Oh, there's a type of elevation that uses those kind of lines, but I think they're just there for effect.
All right, so stand by here. We've got some stuff.
I think that sort of shows the that it's a hill. It's cartography. It's a cartography thing. I don't think they mean anything in and of themselves other than you're moving up a hill.
They might be trying to evoke before. There used to be another style of contour line that was really popular. If you ever read a lot of American Civil War maps, you're going to see those instead of the elevation height map kind of style that we see here. And I cannot remember what they're called. And it's going to drive me crazy, so I'm just going to sit here and think about it for a bit.
That's a short drive. I guess I don't have these guys looking at my image here. Maybe I have another batch of these guys. But what is indicated here, or is that still the same column? Damon, is this the same column on that road that you sent me a picture previously?
Yeah,
Okay, so it's not a different column or anything, it's the same one.
right.
Okay. So apparently that situation evolved without any need to give orders.
Right.
Okay, so those units disappeared from my site. And now we're here. And now we see something that looks like it could be these. Okay. All right. But that is not what I see. Oh, you know what? They are not these kind of units. I'm looking at my picture and I see they are these. More or less. All right. So that's what's opposing me.
Hatchers. That's what they're called. Or Hatchers, or what do you call them? It's Hachhure, I believe. If you read old Civil War maps, that's what a ton of them use instead of Contour Lance. It's not what these are. Or it's kind of what it looks like, but it's not. It's like they use both. Oh. What time is it, Damon?
It
if you
is.
bother to keep track of time.
Oh, as far as game time?
Yeah.
No, sorry, it's been like 3 or 4 turns. We'll say it's 3. We'll say it's an hour. How's that?
All right, I've given my orders in the chat.
All right.
Sorry, hold up.
And folks might say, what about your other units? Well, because I'm kind of out of contact with the other units at this moment. Because they're so powerful. They're just right behind me, but they're just slightly outside of my command radius. I can't give them orders. But in like 2 minutes of game time, they'll be here and they'll be ready to sweep Alex off the field.
Yeah, because we're given. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, in Kriegspiel, you can't order around units that are too far from you. You can send a courier, and it takes time, and they'll usually obey or try to obey. But you can't order them around in real time. On the other hand, if you're marching with a stack of units, you can give an order, and it'll usually be obeyed pretty quickly. So that matters. So you can't, spread your army, to the 4 corners of the earth and instantly have them obey your commands. This is not going to work. If they're out of sight, they're out of sight. You really don't even know, and I don't know. These units that are out of sight of me, I don't know where they're actually at. I placed them on the map in positions where I think, well, maybe they could be approximately around here or there, but the reality is I don't know. And they're going to fight, and the battle is going to unfold without my direct input. And if I don't like that, I'd have to have them close to me. But having them close to me then means I'm concentrated and I have a narrow front. But then it makes it very hard to do something like, let's say I want to attack from multiple directions, or I want to cover a wide area. It makes it more likely that I'll miss the enemy. We'll be like 2 ships passing in the night, especially if he's doing the same thing and we're just moving in columns on different roads. And that can create, some interesting problems. But the correct and typical behavior is you just deploy everything in columns and you march on parallel routes, and then you can support one another. So when you hear gunfire or something, you can march to the sound of the guns and support your comrades. Want to say welcome to all our viewers. Hey, we got 3 concurrent viewers right now, which is not bad for the middle of a Wednesday night. And again, everybody is invited to say hello on the chat, even if you just say hello. And you can also ask questions or whatever you want. I recognize that you're only able to see my map, and I'm the blue player, the Republic of Azul or something. There we go.
Okay, got orders. Stand by.
All right, the Republic of Azul. Versus the St. Nicholas Confederacy. The Confederacy of St. Nicholas. Well, we are a merchant republic, sir. We are only interested in peaceful trade. Hmm. I'm wondering if I should be hearing gunfire from somewhere for how long this is taking.
I do still have to move all the things.
There's a lot of pieces out here.
There are. Gave you too many pieces. Should have just given you one brigade each.
Mm-hmm. That would be faster. Well, I was thinking when we do our Kriegspiel tournament, assuming that's what the community decides to do, give everybody a division. And the reason is, if all you have is a brigade, and you get one bad die roll with that brigade, you're kind of knocked out, even if you made all the right decisions. Whereas if you have a division, the law of averages isn't, kind of comes into effect. And even if you have a bad skirmish, odds are you're not going to have 3 bad skirmishes in a row. So, I don't want bizarre outliers to outshine intelligent play in general, and that means you have to have more dice being rolled.
Exactly. That's usually what I go for when that's why I tend to make order battles for these kind of games balanced,
Mm-hmm.
because I want to play. I don't want people to feel like, oh well, they had higher quality units, that's why they won.
Yeah, you don't want to hear those excuses when you're matching wits with the person.
It's your it's your plan. And most Kriegspiel, especially at this level, it's the plan. It's how do you make contact, and most battles are like that.
Mm.
The nice thing about bigger battles is that because there's more forces involved, there's more variables in how they make contact. It's not the initial engagement. It's not always what matters.
Mm-hmm.
It may be when you commit your reserve.
Right.
Less so in the American Civil War, because what are reserves?
Well, I am a fan of retaining reserves, especially on the defensive, because if there's a hole, you need to be able to plug it and prevent it from turning into a rout or something worse. And if you don't have reserves, you're kind of at the mercy of your enemy, which is not what you want.
Or a better way to put it is, at the brigade level and even the division level, commanders will keep the reserves, but anything higher than that was never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Practically, it did happen rarely.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Napoleonic Wars, you would see commanders from both sides routinely hold giant formations in a reserve role.
Yeah.
Which fascinates me.
I think that's a product of fog of war, though. If you don't know what's going on, if you don't have a good sight picture, or what's the proper term, situational awareness, you are tempted to hold a bigger reserve until you have a better grasp of what's going on. And then when you have that grasp, then you say, okay, I think this is where we'll smash. And that is one of the big Kriegspiel decisions that you make. The first is technically how you getting there. The second is where you're going to engage the enemy, and then next is where you're going to put the reserve, And those are kind of all your decisions. You don't get to make more decisions than that, and that's what surprises people. A person like Napoleon actually made very few decisions.
Well, the thing about Napoleon is that, and this is what made his army so powerful, was a lot of commanders wouldn't come on the field and go, okay, what should I do? No, that's not how it worked. Napoleon had a fantastic staff. He could dictate exactly what he wanted his subordinates to do, and then they would march on the field and know exactly what their role was. Your role is to attack, to strike the right flank, to act as to hold the enemy, to pin the enemy in place for this fourth corps to roll up their left. You would know that's what your job was, and you would make sure your troops did that.
Yeah.
But then, of course, his big in-battle decisions was very small. You're exactly right. Most of his job was pre-battle.
Exactly, but that's where the battles are won or lost, is sort of in that pre-battle maneuvering up to the actual engagement, and that's what we see in Kriegspiel games. The decisions you make
But then,
beforehand.
but then the other fun part of Kriegspiel games is at lower levels, you will see players make blunders, and you have to know, do I exploit this or do I try to continue on, my current objective? It's the Grouchy dilemma. Do I continue written orders or do I take the initiative?
Yes.
And that's not an easy decision to make. And everyone will fall in a different place. Some players don't want their subordinates doing that too much, and that's okay. Some players would prefer if their subordinates took that initiative, because then they'll just follow you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually on that right side. I prefer if subordinates under me would try to exploit the hole, because then I will attempt to stop it.
This is interesting. According to the umpire, my unit did not do what I wanted it to do. He went off on a different tangent. That's interesting.
I would disagree with that assessment.
No, I'm looking at my original orders, but that's okay. That's totally okay, even if the umpire does make a mistake. And maybe you did this intentionally. Maybe you made a mistake or not, but it doesn't matter, because this is what would happen in real life. And as a player, I just have to deal with it. In fact...
Oh, actually, you are correct on that one point. I did draw it the way you drew it, but then I had to erase it to take screenshots and forgot to redraw it and ended up...
but this is okay.
No, I know. That's shit happens.
Exactly. So, in the Kriegspiel rules, you're actually not allowed to question or challenge what the umpire does. And I just find this fascinating. So now I have a problem created. I think my plan was pretty good, but and it would have been even better had my plan been executed. But guess what? my brigadier screwed up, and he didn't take the route he was ordered to take. He took a different route, and now I have to cope with that. That's interesting, and that's fun. Part of the fun. All right.
And as fun as this all is, my wife is tapping me on the shoulder, saying it's time to go soon. Just as it got interesting. We could save the game in progress.
I just don't want to leave people out of the live stream. Let's see here.
Where's Mac when you need him?
Right? Is there anybody else even online?
Not against Damon. I actually think Mac is the best not master umpire in the server. But it's only because he's been putting in so much time learning it.
Yeah. I don't think anyone else is online. Like, everyone is off to bed. It's
so weird.
Well, that's the problem, because it's a weeknight. People work, and let me see here. Yeah. And I'm on the Pacific Coast, so I'm up later than most people, but then I get on later as well. So most people are an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours ahead of me at least. Bailey's not even on.
When is he ever? Well, he is on. He never talks.
Is he on? I show him offline. But anyway.
I doubt he's on.
All right. Maybe we can get 1 or 2 more turns here, or maybe Damon wants to call it.
Well, let's see what we can do. before
Okay. Okay.
before she starts getting annoyed.
Okay.
No. Your life's on the line.
Yep.
We realize
That's
this.
right.
Hell hath no fury like a scorned wife.
Damon secretly wants to skip leg day at the gym, is what it is.
Actually, it is leg day, and that is what we're gonna go do.
Well, exactly. I know the score. Yep. My scouts are well deployed. They tell me exactly what's going on. Man. Okay. All right. Well, I've given my orders.
All right.
Um, it's a one-line order. I hope it is clear enough. But if you need me to explain the order or be a little more detailed, no problem.
No, I think I
I'll
got it.
flash it up
Let me
here on the
add.
screen. Am I even trying? Am I just phoning it in? Yes. All right. All right. I just realized that my order is incredibly vague, and the commander who received it is probably, but that's not what we do. That is not what we do. We are not.
That's one thing I've considered is the Jeb Stuart clause that hussars or any that kind of unit, especially,
Mhm.
just are fanatically stupid. Because that's what hussars were. Fanatically stupid.
Okay,
That's what made them
so
good.
we got a couple more questions. One is from FCN Mike 1. Is there a Discord that is available to the public?
Is it not in the description,
And
Marshall?
probably not. I don't know. Maybe I probably need to give our YouTube some more love. Um, if you go to creekspill.org, which is our website, you'll see on the main page at the bottom the link to our Discord. Totally hop in there and join. And then Hoppus Tunnel asks, do you need supplies for the troops in the game? And the answer is actually yes. In fact, we do have these supply trains right here, which you can see. And the supply trains, generally, as Alex explained earlier, they work as a rally point for units, especially those that have been disrupted. That's where they will recover their disruption and so on. And it works pretty well. We've used various systems in the past where units exhaust supply over time and they need a supply train nearby. And, we reduce them by pips. We would have 4 pips on it, and we would reduce the block by 1 pip state to indicate that it's offloading supplies and so on. But generally, we found that's a little time consuming and kind of unnecessary. And just having these units here to rally on seems to work pretty well within the context of the system. So that's how we're doing it, and it is nice. It's actually an elegant solution. So I know as wargamers we like to come up with very complicated solutions to problems because we're like, okay, now you have to roll for this, or now you have to give them a +1 because they were armed with these weapons instead of those weapons, and so on. And the minutia, as I call it, is fine, but the problem is the more minutia you have, the slower your game is going to be. And one of the things we found is that fast moving games that have a reasonable, or I should say a minimum level of minutia, it's not completely vanilla, there is flavor, are just as fun, if not more fun, than games that have tons of minutia. And the problem is when you have tons of minutia in the rules, the game gets so slow it can get boring for people. So it's
So,
about finding
sorry.
that balance. You want that elegant simplicity, but you also want it to feel realistic. And Kriegspiel actually does that pretty darn well.
So, the way I think of it is, I know there's a great wargaming article somewhere on the internet where someone basically says, just because your game is complex doesn't mean it's realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And just because your game is supposed to be realistic doesn't mean it has to be complex.
Right.
And that's kind of that was part of the designing philosophy I had when creating this system.
Right.
And one thing I realized, and Marshall can explain, I love detail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally fine, and I can run games at this level with more detail. But I'm crazy. So, you know,
Mm-hmm. Well,
I had to create something that was easier for me because it was exhausting for me to do that, and that also makes it easier for most umpires as well.
Yeah, Hoppus Tunnel says I would use those trains if I played. I don't care if it's slow; it makes me more strategic. And amen to that, because I'm the same philosophy here from me. The guys at Army University run a pretty simple Kriegspiel game. In fact, when I compared notes, comparing the SoCal system with their system, everything was virtually identical. And we had never compared notes or even met prior to a year or so ago when I met up with them and we compared our notes. But actually, that's not true. I met James Starrett a few years ago and played a Kriegspiel with him without knowing really who he was. He was actually my teammate, but I only knew him in the context of the Kriegspiel that was played by email. Neither here nor there. The thing is, when we compared notes, we found that we came up with very similar solutions to a common set of problems, and that the SoCal style of Kriegspiel, which is actually a very simplistic style of Kriegspiel, had to be, is being played, is pretty much what they play at Army University. Because again, what's important is not how many sides are on the die or the variety of units or so on. What's important is that fog of war and making the right decision under pressure, writing the orders in the correct way that they should be written. Things like that is what makes Kriegspiel Kriegspiel. And you can distill it down to those essential elements and still have an incredibly fun game. And then everything on top of that is Chrome, and that's a luxury. And it depends on how much time and how many umpires and what resources you have, but that's a luxury. And at a certain point, it actually interferes. Go ahead, Damon.
All right, so I was ready to report a few sentences ago, but you had a good monologue, and I didn't want to interrupt it for your stream.
No problem.
But when a unit takes a hit, do they also take a disrupt?
Yes.
Okay, that is what I thought.
Cavalry take 2 hits before they blow up. I just use hit markers. Infantry have the shrinking effect. Artillery also take the 2 hits for the blow up.
FCN Mike asks, I assume Army University is West Point. That is not the case. In Kansas, in Leavenworth, they actually have an Army University. It's actually called Army University. And it is I guess it's the official war college or university for the United States Army, as I understand. So, no, I don't know what the difference is between Army University and West Point. I know West Point has been a big deal and has typically been that traditional. Maybe there's 2 of them. Or maybe Army University isn't the same as West Point. Maybe Army University is...
Actually, I think I could answer that for you.
Please do, because I'm stumbling.
Yeah, so West Point is where kids are in college and they have not been commissioned. They're being trained to be officers.
Okay, and Army University for officers.
So specifically, my brother went through it just a couple years ago. It's when you get promoted to the rank of major, you're sent to War College at Fort Leavenworth, where you're trained to start taking over like higher tier functions, because now you're like like battalion and regimental kind of level stuff instead of we're dealing with companies and platoons and all that. So it's a higher level of responsibilities and such.
There we go. Okay.
Anyways, let me sorry, gotta take a different screenshot. I messed that one up. Actually, let me get up here.
Mike says,
I tend to like angle my screenshots to be like, to match perspective and all that, but sometimes they don't impart the proper information. So,
No worries. Mike says must be a war
okay.
college solely for officers looking for promotion.
All right. So I had some combat stuff to deal with, and I've not run the combat system yet, so I was figuring that out. All right. So stand by. Now I gotta.
Well, now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
Yep. Now I gotta type it out. See, it's a lot easier when you have two other people can go each person and say, okay, this is what happened. I just have to roll the dice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. It's also easier when you're the person who wrote the system.
Yeah, exactly.
You mean if you had assistant umpires helping you, Damon?
What's that?
Do you mean if you had assistant umpires helping you?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I've really been debating that for the Grand Gettysburg. I'm like, are the assistant umpires really necessary? And
Oh my lord.
yeah, I know, right? But no, I really think we need them.
See, the thing is usually I can tell when you're being sarcastic, Marshall, but there you were being just a little more straight laced than your usual sarcastic voice. I was like, oh no, is he going off the deep end?
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to think about on the technical side the stress test, which I believe we have scheduled for tomorrow.
Yeah. Hopefully,
I think I'm leaving town tomorrow in the evening or afternoon. So
I'm hoping it works out. If from what I can tell, the stress is on the host. Like, how well can the host internet take that many connections?
yeah, well, I have a good computer and a fiber connection.
Yeah, and I have a good computer and not the greatest connection, but it's good enough, and that should be a work. And if we have to, if there's someone who's a better connection than me, then they can be backup host. I mean,
yeah, and that's all. And the only thing I'm worried about is if something happens or I get a momentary glitch, I don't want the whole thing to be derailed for 30 minutes. I want it to, very quickly just resume a state of the game and keep going. So whoever we designate as backup, that's why we need to have enough umpires. And I want to tell everybody who is watching, if you want to come learn how this game is run, we need assistant umpires, and you can totally learn this system in about 15 minutes. We will teach it to you. We'll give you the practice and the drill that you need to make sure you know it. And then you'll also be able to come play in all of our games. And you're welcome now to come play in all of our games. So I want to welcome people, but we have this, it may be the largest online Kriegspiel in human history. It's going to take place on August 28th. We're going to have, I think, 32, 33 players. Just about, I think around 20, 26, actually, when you add in the master umpires, umpire staff. And if you throw in the announcers, I think we might even be tied for the largest civilian Kriegspiel in history, which I think was between 40 to 60 people. And I'm pretty sure we're going to definitely exceed 40. I don't know about 60. So anyway, it's going to be a historic event. We're going to live stream it. We have a couple people who are going to announce it. It's actually going to be live streamed on multiple channels. So it's a big deal, and you might want to be a part of it. August 28th. But you really need to step up sooner rather than later because there's a workup process and you don't want to miss all that. And it's also a heck of a lot of fun. There are people like Alex who'd rather umpire than play because umpiring is, in fact, a heck of a lot of fun.
Okay, so you should both have your results.
All right. I'm going to flash the results up here on the screen so folks can read them. And it's right here. And for those who can't read it, it said the enemy is retreating in confusion. They don't even know why they put their boots on today. They should have just stayed home. And Alex is going to surrender as soon as he hears the news. Or something like that. Something like that, more or less.
Give me rain or give me bluesha.
All things considered, I love that that whole thing just happened.
I kind of wish I had gotten a report from the cavalry that they were a little closer, but
Well,
I am glad that they decided to pull out. That. What I mean is that is what I consider their what's the word I'm looking for? Their doctrine.
Yes,
Like that's what I expect them to do.
right. I would say that the report you were given arrived in the time it took to get there, and you were given the information that they had at the time they sent the courier. Because I'm trying to take in line of sight into account here with these hills and such. So
Yeah.
Okay, and I've given some orders, and it looks like we have a pop quiz in the chat, which I will try to answer that in a moment. Okay, so just so folks know what happened, I'm going to illustrate on the live stream what happened. These guys came back here.
if you want to talk about it, maybe you can even pop into a different channel just so Alex doesn't hear it, but then you can continue to narrate yourself.
Nah, it's all right. If Alex is present, if that's him, because I see a commander avatar, is that him? Is he present
Yeah.
in the thick of this?
We're like right next to each other.
You and I? Okay.
Yeah.
Then I can probably tell him. So what happened is, my unit smashed into his at the crest of the hill. There was a skirmish. Apparently, I got the worst of it. However, good things are coming my way, and I'll leave it at that. So, good things are coming my way. And in fact, as I think about it, what the hell am I doing here? Because I got an earlier report that makes me think maybe I'm just playing a game here. What if all this is just a simulation and none of it's real? Wow.
What if we're on the holodeck?
Right? Mind blown. And in light of the report that...
It's just another bad Voyager holodeck episode.
Right? All right, well, I'm gonna quit philosophizing here for a second. So, real quick, Mike says, because my Military Institute of Norwich does not have any simulations on paper, but rather does field leadership with FTXs. Yeah, I'm guessing that's in the UK. And I do want to say that the UK does run paper Kriegspiels. And in fact, they have a long tradition of doing it. And there's at least one or two documents I have to that effect. And there is a whole Kriegspiel Society in the UK, which is a sister to us. And they run face-to-face Kriegspiels. But I think on the military side, or at least on the civilian professional, military side, civilians who contract and work with the military, there's something going on there. They do Kriegspiel as I understand, or at least they used to. And there's a great document. I think I have the resource in our website. But anyway, I don't know too well because I'm in the United States. I'm in California, so I don't know, but I have a hunch they do. Hoppus Tunnel asks a trivia question here. What is the mistake of the ARVN High Command and their allies in the Vietnam War in 1972 when the North Vietnamese launched an all-out assault on the DMZ? Okay, so we're probably talking about the Tet Offensive. Wait a minute, bro. I am not doing your homework assignment for you. You have to do the reading to answer this question. That's your essay question, bro. I know what's going on. Trying to get me to answer his essay question.
I remember when
I
when I did music.
I don't know what the mistake is. I could take a guess at it. Um, but I do.
The most I know about the Vietnam War is that Private Pyle shot Gunnery Sergeant Hart.
Oh well. No, I think the Tet Offensive. While no, it wasn't Tet. Okay, not Tet. Okay, then I don't know. I know that the North Vietnamese scored many morale type victories, even though they lost a lot of troops. Oh, they put all their troops on the Cambodian border, he says. Huh. Well, Hoppus, here's the thing. You need to join the Kriegspiel Society. You need to learn how this game runs. And then you need to put together a Vietnam Kriegspiel because I'll sure as heck play it. And I know a lot of other people would love to play it. And I can.
Like I said, I have a theory for taking the dice. Mac and I were talking, and I actually think this dice system can work in any era. You just have to tweak why they're thrown.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a Vietnam system would work quite fine. Again, now the issue with the Vietnam system is you have to develop the ability to have sparse deployment. I guess is the best way to put it, without getting too granular.
Mm-hmm.
You can't dig in too much. I think I've been mostly putting stuff at this scale, the 1 to 7500 scale. And I know the perfect map I'd steal out of this too would be there's one of the quarters of the Mets map is just all forest.
Mm-hmm.
So light cavalry would have been armed firearms, it looks like.
You would have had musketoons.
Okay. Yeah, but they don't fight
little
like
carbines
that
or
in
something,
the European system. Like cavalry would there were some cavalry that fought with some small arms in the Napoleonic Wars, but the majority of all cavalry used the saber.
I wanted to. Mike says that Norwich is in Vermont, but the town is based on a UK town. And okay, I do know the British love their Kriegspiel, at least historically. Bill Leeson, the guy who did the map here, it was British. So, and there is a thing, and I think it's even called the British Kriegspiel. I can't remember. I could look it up on our website.
I think what he did was he translated the 1824 and 1862
That's
rules,
right.
which these are partially based on.
Yeah.
This is essentially the best of both worlds. This takes what works. It's just simple enough to be similar to the SoCal system, and it's also just complex enough to feel like you're still playing an actual Kriegspiel.
Oh, I found something wrong with my website. If you click.
All right, so let's see if I'm doing this right.
Well, we'll fix that later. Rules of conduct for the war game. Oh, that's the Australian one, and it's showing an error. Okay, that's.
What did we decide that the star result was?
That's advantage. If one side has advantage for whatever reason, it does something else.
Yeah. So what
hit.
does that do?
Light advantage means it's a disruption. Heavy disadvantage means it's a hit.
Okay.
Heavy advantage is like sunken road, trenches. Light advantage is like forests, high ground, stuff like that.
Okay, I don't have that British Kriegspiel document in here, and I wonder if it's the Australian link, and that link is broken, so I'll have to repair that link. So I'm sorry, guys, our resources page isn't working as well as it should be. I know I have to give this thing some love. I just haven't had time with everything going on in my life. But I'll be getting to it.
Okay, so one moment.
And Alex, did you? I haven't heard from you on the proposal that we do a battle 2 weeks before, sort of a prelude to Gettysburg.
I don't know what that means.
Basically, we tell everybody, master umpires, everybody, we're gonna run a script.
Show up and we're just gonna have a big giant battle.
Yeah,
We could use these
we
pieces.
sure could. Although I would almost say let's use what we're gonna use in the game. More of a dress rehearsal, completely different scenario. But
Well, I think these pieces would be fine because it's about as big as the Gettysburg Order of Battle if you use all of them, and it divorces players from the problem of Gettysburg, so that they're not thinking about it, and so that they can just focus on playing the game.
that I agree with 100%. My concern is technical and making sure that everything works from a technical side, which is why.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that the Gettysburg map is not the Gettysburg module will not be that different from this, is not that different from this one, especially the number of pieces, which is the thing that TTS freaks out over. So if this module works with the giant group, the Gettysburg module should work fine.
Okay. Hoppus Tunnel has to leave us. He says, yeah, those civilians, speaking of civilians, the chat here are civilian spectators like that in the American Civil War. And then he says, bye-bye, it's lunchtime.
I actually think that's a bit of an, I think the idea of civilians at Bull Run is a bit overblown.
Yeah. I just want to say to Hoppus, I hope you'll join the community. Go on our website, click the link for our Discord, join our Discord, and we'll get you going. And then Mike says that sounds like it would be horrible to be the Americans. I imagine it would be like real life where ambushes were commonplace and civilians were scattered. Yeah, I think we're talking about Vietnam there. And yeah, absolutely. It was a heck of a war, wasn't it? Obviously. It was a real mess. Anyway.
So, I don't really know shit about Napoleonic Cavalry, and I'm just gonna send a screenshot to both of you and ask for your advice because this is kind of fun.
Well, I would say what dice they throw. Throw the dice. Everything is printed on the pieces.
I mean, all right. So, heavy cavalry does what?
They throw double dice.
And the color of the dice should be indicated on the piece.
Oh, okay. I had them. Okay.
Yeah, the idea is heavy cavalry they're better trained, they have better weapons in general for conducting shock action.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I don't know if I'm doing this right, but I think it's a funny story, so that's what I'm gonna roll
if it's where I think it. Oh my lord! Did you just screw me?
I mean, I don't know that I would say I screwed you, but
you screwed yourself, bro.
Screwed myself.
Dissed yourself. Sorry.
Okay, so with regards to the heavy cavalry, they just roll the 2 dice, and it's just
they'll roll 2. Well, because it's all melee. Cavalry all fight melee, so
right.
Heavy cavalry will throw 2 color dice, 2 green dice.
Oh, and 2 green dice. Okay.
And just like the melee cavalry will throw 1 color, 1 green, or like Cav.
And how many hits can cavalry sustain?
2.
2? Okay.
Hits are really rare. Don't forget, cavalry all throw D10s.
Yeah, no, I got that. I just need to find
and then
tokens.
Damon, we're gonna make a master umpire out of you yet.
One of these days.
You got all the skills at this point. The only thing you technically have to do is organize and run your own game.
Yeah, like you all the briefing you have on the system is literally just me rambling about it at random times, and you seem to be handling it mostly well.
Mostly well.
Which the system is designed to be intuitive.
Yeah, we've both been very insistent on that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So I guess technically neither one of you be in a position to know the results of the
Okay.
action over at Seedorf. So I'll
Well,
just
the last screenshot I had showed me pieces over there.
yeah, I mean it's like you know that there's stuff happening over there, but as far as like once shit hits the fan, you know, you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
slightly occupied, I guess I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Yeah, I have.
let me get a slightly bit.
I have a feeling I know what's happening here. We're gonna take this hill, but it's gonna cost us Seedorf, at least in the short term. That's my thinking.
Doesn't help that I don't know the names of any of these things. Like with Gettysburg, I know every freaking feature there, but here it's like, what the hell's this place called?
Right? Yeah, I think I know what's happening overall. I have a decent picture now of what must surely be going on, but we'll see. I think this brigade at the top of the hill, Alex, is your one brigade, and you have all your forces over there in Seedorf. You know, and it's game on over there. But I could be wrong.
That poor cavalry.
Yeah. But I am taking this hill from you, sir. It's my hill. You can go find another hill. I would like to know where the hell my guns are. But whatever.
Guns are a very delicate balance.
Yeah. Okay, Mike asks, how does the flanking system work and can it rout the enemy? The answer is yes, it's huge. It's a big part of Kriegspiel.
When you flank, you throw another row of dice.
Yeah.
99% of the time, that means you're throwing double dice. But if you're already throwing double dice, it doesn't mean you throw quadruple dice because that's insane. You just throw triple dice.
Mike then asks also if a supply line was cut off by a roaming enemy unit, how would that affect a line battle?
Well, it's not like supply. Supply doesn't matter until they need to go get it.
Right.
So
in the short term, not a whole lot. But if you're doing an operational campaign or something, it would be massive. Basically, your units that are out front would collapse because they would have no resupply. If it's a tactical battle, not a whole lot until their supply is exhausted, then they have to resupply. And I mean, it does factor in though. Like if somebody lets their supply train get captured, as umpires, we're probably going to punish that at a certain point. We're certainly going to rip that player a new one when it comes to the critique. You let your supply train get captured, what were you thinking? Because that would be career ending, I think, for most people.
Okay, so I sent it to Alex, now I'm sending it to Marshall, so stand by.
You don't have to send me anything. I know we routed the enemy and won a glorious victory. My victory is well won. I shall retire. Is that line from what? Braveheart? Where Edward II is all, my victory is well won. Shall we retire? Good thing we don't have you on the timer bot, Damon.
Oh, I know.
Oh, let's see here. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Oh, it looks like we do have more baddies here. Let's show everybody the picture I'm shown. Ooh. That looks ugly. So my brigade here
I suspect
is
I'll
almost.
probably have to go in I'll probably have to go in a second here.
Yeah.
So if there's no one else that can fill in, maybe I should just invite you to my table.
Yeah. Well,
What is my
I
server?
don't want Alex to be claiming he won though. Just because.
Well,
Well, now that you mention it. And,
all right.
I found my artillery. Boy, are they I guess they just were out to lunch over here.
The original orders you gave them was to form up on the hill that you're fighting over. So
yeah,
they freaked out.
They deployed to cover the valley. They deployed on the hill behind you to support. Since they weren't given any other orders. Anyways,
well,
let's see
now they
here.
have contact with them, but yeah, okay.
Here, I'm inviting you to my game here. So I think the password is no. Can I?
Are you guys gonna invite both of us?
Here, let's here, server nomad, password nomad.
I didn't even need a password; just let me right in.
Because I invited you. I don't think Alex and I are Steam friends yet.
Oh well.
We'll have to remedy that.
Well, all right, folks. So this is the end of the battle. We're gonna see the result. We're gonna see my glorious victory. And I will tell you that details don't matter. Yeah, I'm gonna claim
all right,
victory.
So I want to start in Seedorf.
Oh, you probably have to change the map. Or no, we're good. I'm sorry. I was showing the old map. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so
hold up. There we go.
So I've seen lots of movies. I know how this sort of thing works. Enemy heavy cavalry charging down the narrow streets. They moved off and ambushed them as they came in.
Mm-hmm.
It was a nice little fight in the middle of the square. Both sides it was kind of an even fight.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured that the narrow streets kind of negated.
I was scared of nothing. I didn't care about the light cavalry. What I cared about was making sure my heavy cavalry could finish it up fast enough so I wasn't getting blindsided by Marshall's heavy cavalry. Because
his orders were to hold the town. If you want to actually look due east of the hill, you would see there's his heavy cavalry.
That's where my trains went, which is fine. That's a worthy. Once I realized the trains were gone, I knew I was going to have to do something aggressive to try to drive him off the hill.
Train, buddy. That's a career-ending move. I was just saying.
Yeah, your general's going to be really pissed. So I would say, combat-wise, I would say that I think you're getting the best of Marshall.
On the hill.
For the time being, at least on the hill.
Yeah.
So you may end up with like a tactical victory, but then you have to explain to your general how you lost his wagons and did not recover the brandy for him.
Well, and that's why I was saying I was saying about 30 minutes ago, I don't even know if I need to be fighting here. Because once I had your wagons and the wagons were being pulled back to my lines, if this were real life, I might not be fighting at all. I probably would have withdrawn. Because why?
Yeah, because my next orders were this artillery was moving to form up on this line to try to blast this attack away. I was hoping that would These guys were ordered to just sit here because I was about to take this brigade at double quick and just strike your left.
Yeah, and I think that would have
to sweep them away.
Yeah, I think that would have worked well for you, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And with you having the high ground and all that, at what point
my thought was
force here. I didn't.
I started up here.
Yeah.
And I started in Shunkish.
Uh-huh.
And I was told I
That's
needed
beautiful church.
I was told I needed to go into Seedorf, check something out. So I assumed Seedorf was the objective. So I thought about it, and I figured if Marshall was coming towards it, I would either need to defend it from this hill, or I was going to need to defend it from one of these.
Yeah.
And I was basically banking on Marshall coming from this direction.
Yeah.
Which is why I sent light cavalry down here, just to try to delay just long enough. If they had done it for another turn, I would have had a grip on the hill, and it would have been a very difficult push. But since we had our little meeting engagement with the infantry, I just got lucky that I led with my elite brigade, so that they could claim the hill, which allowed me to strike with the.
You know what's interesting is that based on your route of march, both your elites, your 1st Brigade and your 10th Brigade met at Steinfelder Hof intersection at the same time, but I decided to give preference to the elites.
Yeah, what I wanted to do is because I sent the elite brigade up this road. The idea was, in the event that I was hoping that, when I reached here, they'd be around here. In the event that we figured out that they're up here, we'd just be able to continue down this road, and then I'd be able to deploy 2 brigades at once. Otherwise, I got lucky, and I had to deploy from a long, thin line. But they did their job.
Yeah, I have my thinking. I'm drawing it on here. And my thought was, this was my plan of attack, that you would be coming from over here down this way with 2 brigades to Seedorf and 1 brigade to this hill. I recognized the hill is pretty important. I figured I would have to fight you for it. I didn't expect you to have 3 brigades on the hill, though. I expected you to have at least 1 or 2 in Seedorf.
Yeah, my train of thought was to do something like this, and try to get onto the hill, form a defense, and then once I have an anchor at the hill, I was going to take my heavy cavalry and my regular brigade and strike. Try to strike.
Yeah, which is brilliant, and I think that's great. And
the floating line up here.
Yeah, I know. But in real life, I don't think I would have pushed that attack. Once I received the dispatch that, I had your train and so on, I would have probably said, okay, let's start falling back. That way we could fight on the defensive here or wherever. But we didn't have time to play like that, so hey.
I was confused about the train thing, because I thought that what happened was the light cavalry had destroyed the train, or had just eliminated it, and that for whatever reason, I thought they were coming from around here, and that for whatever reason they came around this way instead, and
yeah, I
thought they were going to come out this way.
I thought I was only going to have to deal with 1 brigade, and I was like, oh, it's his elite brigade, it makes sense. If you're going to send 1 brigade to hold a vital position, that would be it. And then it turns out I was wrong. So had this gone another turn or 2, you would have probably wiped out my army, which would have been forced to retreat. And then that would have been that. And I think the cavalry fight would have been a wash, with both sides probably retreating. But then I had your train.
What would have happened here, in my opinion, on ROE, rules of engagement, is, and I've been thinking about this, is faster units can forcefully disengage by inflicting disruption on all units involved and just walk away. So light cavalry can disengage from heavy cavalry can disengage from infantry. If Jaegers were in the system, they could disengage from infantry, and then infantry can't disengage. The idea of being that light cavalry can force any unit into a battle, into a fight. But in this situation, they probably do this, and then they just pull out, because light cavalry don't want to sit.
Go ahead, Mike.
And fight heavy cavalry.
Yeah, I figured that they pulled back to kind of ambush your lead unit, and then it's like, okay, well, once you're in melee, then they're going to lose, so it's time to, haul
the
ass
other
out
half
of
of
there.
my last order was, I told this brigade, instead of, I thought they'd move a little faster to join this village attack, but since they worked, I figured.
Right. See what
lemon, just strike the right.
I actually slowed everything down because of this bridge right here over the canal. Because
Okay.
you had units coming over towards the battle at the same time. Those guys are trying to get on the other side, so I figured that kind of messed everything up.
No, that's totally fair. I get that.
Yeah.
I did not even. It's not a very. It's a well drawn feature now that I see it. I just had not noticed it.
Yeah, well, it's not colored. That's kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that's what I hope someone will do if they redo this map is color in the streams.
And Mike asked to join the channel. I invited him in, so hello, Mike.
Hello, I am Mike.
What are your thoughts, man?
Well, I did actually look into Kriegspiel. Now, obviously, I didn't know about the societies or the manuals, so I made my own version of Kriegspiel, but kind of gave up on it because I was like, not enough interest among my friends in it. Right. But now that I see it on this is Tabletop Simulator, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're hoping to make a VASA module too.
It's pretty amazing to see that there's a representation of it on a video, like on a computer. Because having an in-person umpire and then 2 separate rooms or like 3 rooms, that seems like it would be kind of difficult to set up.
It is.
Yeah, what we do is we
Yeah.
have this master table and then we send screenshots of.
Right.
Let me just jump in real quick and just say that I'm gonna go ahead and take my exit. I'll leave the game running, so if you guys want to keep looking over the table, then you can. So.
All right. Good luck with Leg
But,
Day, Damon. And by the way, please thank your wife for letting us have this time with you. It means a lot, and we appreciate it. And thank you.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get it. She's already out there working.
Yeah. No, just tell her thank you.
She's gonna kick your ass.
All right. Talk to you guys
You
later.
got it.
See them.
Yeah, the Southern California Kriegspiel Society has been doing face-to-face Kriegspiels for many, many years. And then with COVID and everything, I decided to take it virtual. And so for about the past year, we've been running this on a virtual level using Tabletop Simulator. And we've had several iterations. Like we went from, like at one point we literally had the 3 tables running on 3 different computers, 3 different hosts, with myself jumping between the 3 and so on. And we have pioneered new ways of playing it that are increasingly more efficient. We've made pieces that look better. We have dialed in a whole new system. We basically created a system based on the original rules and the American Civil War, because the original was Prussian, stuff, smoothbore muskets and so on. And we've modified it and we've simplified it and made it intuitive. And this is kind of the end result. And it works really, really, really well. And it's a lot of fun.
Let me tell you, Marshall, I was so scared of your heavy cavalry. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go for it when I sent this regular brigade over, because I thought if they're attacking, because I told them to go in attack columns. If they're in the middle, it's attack a column attack, and this heavy cavalry shows up over the hills, I'm dead.
Yeah.
But I figured,
No, I was on Seedorf. I was told there was a brandy there or something that we had.
Well, I took Seedorf.
Well, I don't know that you took it, sir.
Yeah.
I
No
had a
infantry,
question.
how are cavalry?
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
So, I assume that I wasn't here for the very beginning of it. I caught like the back end. So were you guys given like cards that just told you what generally was supposed to happen, or like go investigate like that
Yeah,
kind of
we were
deal?
both given a briefing, and I'm scrolling to my briefing.
Mine was, you are camped out at the beautiful church town appropriately named Skonkirch. Your commander, General Hogg, has heard a rumor that the special lakeside resort of Seedorf sells a particularly delicious flavor of brandy, available nowhere else. You have been ordered to investigate the rumor and carry back any that you can find. Wagons have been dispatched to your position.
And I had virtually the same exact briefing, except I was camped out at the rather dismal town, appropriately named Kropen. But otherwise, my briefing is identical.
I have no idea how far Kropen is from Seedorf.
Well, this is a fictional
I'm pretty sure these are all fake towns.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You drew it up in there.
Is
up in the
your
air.
Marshall?
I am. I'm the guy
Mr.
who
Marshall,
launched all of this, and Alex is the one who's done almost all the heavy lifting. Alex and Damon. So.
Pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I did after I got my briefing was I wrote a literal division operational orders. I put the 15th Light Cavalry will dash towards Tiefenzel, then head northwest towards Munchstadt. They are not
Oh,
to
I see.
engage.
I see.
The first brigade, like what I ordered my guys to do was I sent one down this road, and then I sent most of it down this road, and I sent light cavalry down here. And I've noticed people in this Discord don't write orders like that. They don't like it's specific what I wrote,
Mm-hmm.
but it's it's general.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to go here, and then I assume that I will still be able to maintain control of the division.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people just go, okay, I want them to move down this direction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
all right. No, I need to wrap up the live stream. But I want to thank everyone for watching and all of the great questions and comments that we got. Mike, I want you, well, you've joined the Discord, so I hope you'll hang out and maybe get into some of the games and activities we have going on. I know there's something on Saturday. You should hop in there and just find a spot, and they will train you on the fly. It isn't hard to learn at all. It's very simple.
Actually, the entire purpose of these Saturday games we're starting to do is anyone can join. There's no pre-plans. It's all meant to just be, let's play Kriegspiel.
Yep. So, all right, everybody. Well, I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you're watching this in the future, feel free to post questions and commentary, and we'll generally respond to these. And again, on August 28th, we have a monster event, so at least watch one of the live streams if you don't want to get in and participate, but you're invited to participate. All right, catch you all soon.
The other part is this Saturday I will